from Fox. In the meantime, though, let's get back to some of those international headlines. And we're going to be joined by our friend and colleague there, national security analyst and expert, and retired Marine intelligence officer Hal Kemper. He joins me. Hal, good to see you, and happy Friday. We have a few kind of top headlines to get to in the national security realm, and your favorite topic, Greenland. And I want to put up this tweet here from Fox's Jennifer Griffin. We all know Jennifer Griffin. She covers the Pentagon for Fox. With this reporting, which I believe was first reported by military.com or the Military Times, and it goes as follows, that Colonel Susanna Myers, who is the commander of the Pentagon's most northern military base there in Pituffik Space Base in Greenland, well, she was removed from command on Thursday after an email was discovered where she distanced herself from the Trump administration's stance on Greenland. And so following Vice President J.D. Vance's visit on March the 28th, she sent an email to those under her saying, quote, "I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of the space base." And apparently sending that email, Hal, got her relieved of command. What do you make of this story with what she sent with that email? Was that appropriate to send or not after Vance's visit?
Well, Andrew, first off, if you're a colonel, you get relieved of command like something like that, your career is effectively done. She may take another job somewhere else, but she's never going to get promoted to brigadier general. And so it's a very serious thing to get relieved of command like that. Now, this is the interesting thing. In the military in uniform, you are apolitical. You are not supposed to be aligned with one party or another. You're not supposed to be politically endorsing candidates or anything like that. And of course, if you ever see someone in uniform show up at a political rally, it's always a major issue, which is who are you? Why are you there? Why are you wearing a uniform? And that's because the military is supposed to be an apolitical entity or an apolitical institution, if you will, in the body politic. All right. So when she says, hey, she's dealing with the Greenlanders, she's dealing with the Danes, and she says she's basically trying to maintain that apolitical stance. With that said, though, when I saw that email, I said, I have a feeling that she's going to end up in a lot of hot water here. And of course she did, which was, she took kind of aim at what Vice President Vance said when he was visiting there. And by doing that, it kind of made her political, even in her attempt to probably remain apolitical or to be diplomatic with the host nation, if you will, or the host nation, Greenland and Denmark together. I'll put that together as host nation. In doing that, she kind of crossed swords with what J.D. Vance said. And that's where she starts getting into the chain of command.
Okay.
Because the president is the commander in chief. He's the vice president, which doesn't put him in the direct chain of command, but he is the vice president. So by saying that, she actually was she was publicly differing with the opinion of the chain of command. And in that regard, you cannot have commanders out there saying something different than U.S. policy or the commander-in-chief's position. Hence, that was their rationale for having her relieved.
I mean, Hal, though, from what has been reported in the email that she sent to her kind of underlings there at the Space Force base, it was almost like she was trying to reassure them, and I'm paraphrasing, but we're going to continue to do our job amidst all of this. And it kind of came back to bite her in a sense. You could get the sense and the intent that she was kind of maybe reassuring those under her that, despite all this political fur around Greenland, Denmark, and the United States, we're going to keep doing our job. And it seemed like it backfired.
I have to tell you, she was in between a rock and a hard place. She's up there. She's trying to, maintain certainly the trust and confidence of those she commands. She has about 200 personnel that are actually at the base. Not reflective of our total personnel there because it's an operational base. So at any time you'll have Lots of people going in and out of there on temporary duty of some sort, whether it's for one night, 2 nights, 1 month, 2 months, whatever it is, doing various different projects, things, whatever they're involved in. So it's a very busy base in that regard. But she's trying to maintain the trust and confidence of all those up there. Everyone she's worked with. Also, as a I hate this, sounds kind of strange, but as a base commander, you're kind of responsible as a real estate commander. If you're a manager of certain real estate, you have to interface with the local community. You have to interface with the host nation government. You have a lot of those that you have to maintain a cordial diplomatic relationship with. And in that regard, I think what her words were to aimed internally at her own workforce to reassure those that she works with on a regular basis, which is the Greenlanders and the Danes that are around her, that we're there in support of, if you will. And but in doing that, she in that email she did basically cross lines with what Vice President Vance said, and Vice President Vance there is there representing the president,
Okay.
and the president is the commander in chief. And that's where and it's not the first time that's ever happened. I just want to point that out. More famously, there have been general officers who have spoken up and said something completely contrary to what the president was saying, and they were relieved very quickly.
Okay.
And so it's not unique.
I see.
But obviously it is very high profile because of what just happened.
All right, Hal Kemper, we're going to leave it at that. We do appreciate your insight into all these stories. Have a good weekend, Hal.
Okay, you too, Andrew.